Stop. Oh, yeah. Stop. Seriously though, far out. Great opening week into the playoffs, boys. Welcome on to the Mad Monday podcast, by the way. My name's Chris Key. We are, of course, live in the Export Beer Garden studio. No Ben Hurley or Di Henwood today, otherwise engaged with roles that I can only assume pay far better than this one does. So joining me today in the studio, Storme Hitaua, how are you?
What's up, bro? Hey, it sounds like you've got your radio voice on for some reason.
This is just my voice.
Okay.
I'll do my real voice. Hey, you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, before you were talking like, oh, supples.
Oh. Yeah, it's my bad. I just want to come across as a slick, professional broadcaster.
Which is what this podcast is.
Exactly. And speaking of which, NRL pundit Blocker Harrison, how are you today, Joel?
Yeah, good, man.
Yeah.
Good. Bloody ready.
Yeah, ready to go?
Ready.
What?
Finally, some good rugby league's been played.
I tell you
why
what,
have you got your radio voice on too?
We all have radio voices, Storm. We all work in radio.
No, we don't.
Actually, you don't. You sound exactly the same.
Yeah, I live the Scucks life 24/7. I scucks it up even more so just to join you fellas on the Mad Monday podcast.
That's right. That's the standard we set for those coming in. By the way, before we get into it, fellas, just a quick mention to our good friends at Wendy's, or our good friend Wendy, and the new Baconator range. It's not new at all, actually. I don't even know why I said that, but you got the Chickenator, you got the Mushroom Mount. They're all there. Get amongst it while you're getting amongst the Mad Monday podcast.
This is a good time to mention that every time we get Uber Eats, it's my wife ordering Baconators off Wendy's.
You're joking, really?
Yeah, 100%.
What? Oh, you live near that Wendy's that I live near.
Yeah,
Te Atatū out West Auckland there.
How's a yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's like the HQ.
Don't give away my location. People will come stalk me.
I live closer to it than you do.
Ah.
I'm like 100 metres away from it.
No, I didn't
That's
know.
like same as me, man. Normally, when I get Uber Eats, me and the missus, we just get pizza burgers from Wendy's. They're beautiful, man. The pepperoni ones. Have you tried them?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, that's
so good.
They're gone now, though.
I think they're gone. Yeah. So we've just gone to the Baconator, but man, those pizza burgers.
Yeah.
Beauty.
Two out of three of us were telling the truth about their love for Wendy's.
Yeah, but your missus loves pizza though, right?
Sorry.
And burgers.
She does.
Yeah, so she couldn't decide. So she's like, pizza burger. This solves the dilemma, doesn't it?
Yeah. Pretty much.
And she loves Scucks dudes as well. That's why she's with you, Joel. Right, let's crack on to some actual NRL chat, because it was an absolute fizzing first week of the finals in the NRL. We'll start with the Panthers, who took down the Eels 27 points to 8.
Dummies runs, explodes into the backfield. Fires it to Tungor. Tungor against Gutherson, who makes the tackle. Cleary takes off, gives it away to Fisher Harris. He scores the try. This is one of the great masterclasses.
Yes, now, out of all the games, fellas, this one was the one which, while I was fizzing, while I watched it, it didn't fizz me up as much as the rest of the games did, because a number of things. First of all, the Eels, they were going well. They've now lost Mitch Moses to concussion, and I think, and here's a question for you guys. Is Mitch Moses more important to the Eels than Nathan Cleary is to the Panthers? Because when Nathan Cleary's out, the Panthers can still do the job, with Luai and that. But I think the Eels need Mitch Moses.
Yeah, the Panthers are sport for choice at the moment with quality players that they could have from 1 to 13.
That's right. And so we're not sure if he's back this week. Is that right,
Yeah,
Joel?
it said he's TBC. So he might be there, he might not be. But yeah, apparently old Kikau's knee caught his head and he's struggling big time. But I reckon Dylan Brown can do the job.
But the thing I like about Dylan Brown is that while Mitch Moses' kicker, he's a fantastic kicker, Mitch Moses, and when he runs occasionally, he can really open them up too. It frees up Dylan Brown to just, play what's in front of him. And I hate to use cliches in that, but you reckon, because Jesse Arthurs would come in, wouldn't he, into the side alongside Dylan Brown and the halves there?
Is it Jesse Arthurs?
You sure?
Yeah, it's Jake Arthur.
So I guess Jake Arthur will come in there and pair old Dylan Brown and the halves, but it doesn't really have the same pizzazz as the old Moses pairing, does it?
But I do think that although the halves is important and Mitchell Moses is crucial to the Eels, I suppose having a good shot at the Panthers should they meet again, the where it can be won for the Eels is up front.
Yeah. They've got an incredible forward pack.
And I hate to use cliches again, but the Eels forward pack are monsters.
They lay a platform.
They're sitting, and you don't get guys like Mitchell Moses performing if he doesn't have good go forward. So that's where it needs to be. Unfortunately, it just so happens that the Panthers have got a good forward pack as well. Very skillful forward pack at that complements once Cleary is back in the side. A little bit of a explosiveness.
Exactly.
The season's definitely not over yet for the Eels as
No
well.
way.
I reckon they have kind of almost an easy run into the final, you could say. You could say, yeah, because they're playing the Raiders this week, and then they have the Cowboys the week after if they win.
Well, that's an easier run.
Yeah, definitely easier.
Wow, I mean, for the Raiders, sure, but I think the Cowboys are playing.
Yeah. But the thing is, the Eels have shown earlier in the season they can take down the Panthers, they can take down the Storm, so they can switch it on. Mitchell Moses, though, I think is key. So if he can get back, they can maybe get past the Raiders without him.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But yeah, the Cowboys, no way, Jose.
I don't think so.
Nah, exactly. One weakness massively for the Eels, though, which was hugely exploited by the Panthers, was just bomb it to Wonga Blake.
Oh, my God.
Because that dude, like, he's awesome and I love him, but he is bad under the high ball.
I mean, it was reminiscent of kind of watching earlier on
Early Manu
Vatuvai, where now at a point, 2011, 2010, you go, yeah, bomb it to him, see what happens.
Yeah.
But early on when he was rocking the big afro, I was like, oh, God, please don't pass it to him, please don't kick it to him. And then it would show and pop it up.
Exactly.
Monday night shocker against the Eels, I think it was 2008, he had a shocker, dropped almost every ball.
Yeah.
But was that the first try that came up after Cleary bombed it to Blake as well?
Yes, so that was an awesome James Fisher-Harris out the back door.
Yeah.
The forward, the props linking up there, to put on a mean-ass try. I love that. And then even the second try, I think it was, the first two Penrith tries were both from Wonga Blake dropping the ball. So that is something that future teams can certainly exploit. Taylor May, though, Joel, he was originally supposed to be missing out on the first two games, right? But he got that postponed until the start of next season.
Yeah.
He's now banned for 2 games, correct?
So had they reversed their decision?
No. So he's originally was banned for 2 games for assault off the field.
Yeah.
Which has been moved to the start of next season.
Yeah.
He then did a dodgy ass tackle on
Yes.
someone and has now been banned a further 2 games starting this coming week.
I actually watched I'm not encouraging crime or anything. I actually watched the video of him assaulting the guy, and he was just talking shit to Nathan Cleary, pretty much like some random pundit, probably like a bit of a wound like myself, and then he just Taylor May pulled him off him. Obviously, it was a little bit harder than intended, and he might have hit his head on the back. But it's not like he was going out there maliciously hitting anyone or anything.
Right.
And I actually did see Nathan Cleary defending him as well.
Good.
That's kind of why I think the NRL has sort of had their back
Yeah.
a little bit.
The problem is it's still assault, right? Because
definitely.
And what you're saying is if you're going to assault someone, like knock them out. That's what you're saying, eh, Joel?
I'm betting you're...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
Like, don't
that.
be a pussy is what you're saying, eh?
It wasn't as bad as because when I first read it, I was like, "This is bad." But then, yeah,
Totally. I picture him punching a dude on the ground or something.
Yeah.
Nah, it was he just pulled someone back, and it was obviously didn't know it was his own strength. And yeah, the guy, I don't know what happened to the guy, but yeah, it was assault, but
Yeah.
it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. But then, so I can kind of see why Volandis was defending him.
Okay, that's
And,
good.
Yeah, but then
Because he's got a real bright future ahead of him, Taylor May. He
Yeah.
is phenomenal. He's 20.
Oh yeah, he was a bit of a pickup for NRL fantasy this year. I don't know if a lot of people had backed him to go. I think he might have been considered a cash cow.
Yeah,
earlier
because
on in the
Staines
season.
was starting ahead of him.
And then Taylor May came out of, well, I don't want to say nowhere because there was some promising stats about him, and now he's just kicking ass.
Well,
And he
that's the
was
thing
great
Penrith
for my
does.
NRL fantasy.
And I was, because I'm in a draft level, I was before I crashed out horribly. The fella that picked him up, he swooped on him straight away, and I was like, come on, bro. This guy's like 19, but never right off the Panthers development. They always produce the guns. Him, Crichton, Tungle, they're all like 19, 20, 21 years of age, and they're all superstars, so he's got a bright future.
Sicky.
Anything else you want to say about the Eels Panthers before we move on?
I was kind of low key. It was if you put all the games into a group, that was kind of like ugh.
Yeah, which it was still a good
Well,
game.
it was still a good game,
But it was ugh, because everything else was so ugh.
the first 55 minutes were pretty
tight.
Yeah,
pretty
something
tight.
could have happened, but I think Nathan Cleary definitely the big difference in that game.
And then after Moses went out, it was more like,
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh.
Well, now, does this now put the Penrith team as the favourites to win the whole NRL, do you reckon?
They were
Already
even
does.
not the favourites.
Already does.
I know, but there was a lot of people saying, like, oh, Roosters are coming through, etc. But
Oi. Yeah, I'm so glad. Like,
Roosters.
low key, they were shaping up nicely.
I said it last. I think I said
Yeah.
it last week on the podcast as well.
Yeah, and I too. I thought they'd peaked it perfectly. But before we get on to that, let's go to a team that was eliminated who I thought was going to see them in the finals. It was the Storm going down to Ricky Stewart's Raiders, 28 points to 20.
inside the touchline. Fogarty's kick's coming back. Fogarty has nailed it.
Now, this game brought a huge smile to my dial. I couldn't watch it in person because I was at a bit of a party, a cocktail party there, and I had this one dude at the party. Like, it was a really fancy event. Everyone was wearing suits and stuff, and there was one Māori dude who was the only other guy at the party that cared about the NRL, and he kept coming up to me and being like, bro, the Storm just scored. And then I'll be like, oh, damn it. I'll be like, oh, no. And then he'd just walk off again. And he'd come back and be like, bro, the Raiders are back in front. And I'll be like, oh, yeah.
Wait, are you guys like best friends now? You're gonna go, like catch up and hang out.
Yeah,
at
he's
pubs
my
and
best
stuff?
man.
Yeah. That was quick. Just such a boys thing.
He's the man, though. And I was like, so I was stoked about that. But for the Storm to be knocked out and for the Raiders to have turned their season around completely, earlier in the season, Ben Hurley was calling for Ricky Stewart's resignation, which is another classic Hurley sort of foreshadowing of the season, which goes completely wrong. And so for them to knock the Storm out, I'm bloody happy.
I had Ben Hurley join me on my other radio show that I work
On Flavour.
On Flavour, where we do a Mad Monday bit of a crossover. And we had to kind of do a bit of an education system for the listeners on, like, now that the Wawas are out, who are you going to support?
Yeah.
And that's where he laid it down. And he was like, well, if you want to support a team that could go all the way with a lot of Kiwis, the Storm is who you want to follow. And now we're going to have to redo that because now the Storm are gone.
But that's like saying you should support the Crusaders. That's what that's like saying in Super Rugby. You know what I mean? I'm sick of them.
You could actually say a team with a lot of Kiwis who could go well is the Raiders as well.
The Raiders?
Yeah, they got the likes of Matthew Timoko. He's
Timoko. Yeah, far out.
Yeah,
And
Timoko.
by the way, it is Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori. So Timoko is the
Timoko.
correct pronunciation of Matt Timoko.
Kia ora matua.
Timoku for a while there as well. How freaking awesome was his try in space?
Yeah, bro, that was sick.
Yeah, Goosey and Munster's the guy getting fended off in the face. Did that bring a smile to your guys' dials?
How do we see Timoko shaping into the Kiwis at the end of the year?
Yeah, it's actually something that Keezy and I were talking about off air as well. I feel like he could.
Yeah.
He definitely could. Only reason he would have to get through, I believe it is Niukore and
Done.
Ozzy.
No, but done. Like, I'd put him ahead of Neo
Yeah,
Corday.
and Heku. I think Heku would probably go ahead of him.
Oh, Peter Hiku.
But because it was Neo Corday was there, so I feel like there definitely could be a spot for Matty Timoko.
And I also think Neo Corday, who's coming next year to the Wars, he's a far more effective back rower. Like, he's more of a, if someone drops out of the centres, push him out. But he's such a hard runner and a hard tackler. I like him in the back row there. Another chap who's going to be in the Kiwis. And so you've got Timoko, you've got Rapana, you've also got Joey Tapine, who has had one of the best seasons as a front rower I've seen in a long time. He offloaded twice. The first one set up the very first try, which was Timoko's try in the end. Yeah. Offloaded to Jack Whiten, who sprinted up the field there, and magical things happened. He then offloaded to Elliot Whitehead for a try as well. Tapine has had one of the biggest turnaround seasons I've ever seen from someone, because last season his girlfriend was tweeting Ricky Stewart saying, play my boy. I don't know if you guys remember that, like calling out the coach. And this season he's literally the best front row in the whole game.
We're kind of going to need him, mate, because now that Joey Manu's not looking like he's going to be shaping up for the World Cup.
No, he'll be there. I think Joe Manu has confirmed that he'll be back in a couple
His
of weeks.
calf has been downgraded.
Has it been downgraded?
It was originally a tear. I said this last week. So originally it was a tear and he was done, and the Kiwis, he was out.
Yeah.
But it was downgraded to a strain, and 3 to 4 weeks he'll be back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
So yeah. So
Well, Tapine is on form.
Yeah, but Joey Tapine is one of my favourite players in the whole league right now. Shout out to Xavier Coates. He got a hat-trick that third try where he stretched his arm right out like Michael Jordan in Space Jam. Did you see that one? That was amazing. That was, because he had a lot of work to do there. He had
Space Jam.
He had Fogarty around his around his bootlaces. He still stretched out and scored there. And even though they lost, I really enjoyed Nelson Asafa Solomona's try, because he was 10 metres out, right?
Yeah.
He got the ball and he just decided he was sprinting to the try line. And it was like Nas scoring from 10 metres out is as exciting as like a regular guy scoring from 40 metres out. Because even though he was running 10 metres, it was like and then smashed through. I can't remember who it was, and then scored. It was awesome.
What was that little moment that Nas? I like how you showed that.
Yeah.
What was that little moment that Nas had at the with the Raiders' last try? It was almost like he was geeing up. Was it?
Yes, that was weird. Rapana.
So I was trying to figure out what was he doing there? Was he trying to complain? And was he like, good job, Boost? Did he realize that he wasn't in the Kiwis team yet? Or
that was the try that was off Sebastian Chris's head, right? A falcon.
Yeah.
And which was, I don't know whether that could actually become a tactic in the future. Like, seriously. Because it goes forward off your head, it's sweet as.
Yeah, someone else has scored a try like that and it's becoming controversial. But go on.
Yeah. And so I thought when he ran over, the vibes I get from Nas is that he would have been saying to Rapana, who he is a fellow Kiwi, he would have been like, bro, knock on, no way that's a try. Big grin on his face.
Yeah, but that's not the vibe I was getting.
Maybe he was going, good on you, man.
Yeah, I was like, "Yep.
I hope so.
Shit, that's me then."
Yeah. Hopefully he was giving big ups to his fellow Kiwi there. Yeah. Joel, what do you reckon?
How good is it to see the Storm out though? That's what I'm most happy about. But it's after pumping the Warriors 70-10 at the start of the year in the Anzac Day.
Oh, man, the massacre.
The massacre. You know, it's good to see that they weren't actually the best team in the comp this year.
No. To be fair, though, I mean, they did. That was back when they had Pappenhausen. Like, the full spine was looking great.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think them losing Pappenhausen is one of the biggest losses for, And
Sean.
Yeah, their team's been massively decimated because of it. Here's a question. Why the hell does Cameron Munster keep kicking goals? Have you seen how shocking he is? Like,
Yeah.
he's really bad. He'll miss it from right out in front. But they've got Nick Meaney, who literally used to kick for the Bulldogs, and he's not kicking.
Well, I think they're kind of trying to take like an All Blacks approach to it. Like Beauden Barrett was one of the worst kickers, and probably still is for the All Blacks of some time. And
He's a
now
regular listener, by the way.
But it's just an absolutely handsome
legend,
man,
though.
like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
fast
yeah.
and electrifying on the field. But you'd be the first to admit you're not the best kicker. And they just stuck with him, and he's kind of turned it around. So maybe that's what they're hoping. Also, Cameron Munster owns like a little bit of mana, I feel like, within the Storm camp. So I think he's trying to like up his stats in a little. It's
And
like
he
stat
can,
batting.
yeah, and he's had such a good season this season that he can do whatever he wants. But
When does his booze ban end? It must be coming up shortly because wasn't it a year off the piss and stuff?
It's ended.
yesterday is Monday, right?
Yeah.
Guarantee you, him and Brandon the Cheese Smith are up to their old tricks with the icing sugar and putting it on WhatsApp and all that shit. Definitely.
On their popcorn.
Yeah, on their popcorn. That was the one. Yeah. So that was a fantastic result. The Storm being eliminated by Ricky Stewart and the Raiders.
Not guilty, Your Honour.
Yeah, what are you getting the ref's room number, mate?
The next game of the round, though, fellas, it was an absolute stonker. In fact, can I get the stonker horn, Joel? Is that something we can get? The stonker of the round. Yeah. It was the Cowboys eventually getting the win over the Sharks, 32 points to 30.
Last play. Here he goes. They go to Holmes. Valentine Holmes for the win. He strikes it. He's got it. Kicked it. He got it. Valentine Holmes.
Guys, this game was one of the best games I've watched all season.
What a game!
Seriously, this was, I know the Roosters, Rabbitohs was exciting because of all the fisticuffs. This game was just two really good teams scoring really good tries against one another and then a really good ending in triple overtime.
And what I hate sometimes watching is just like a kicking fest. But everyone was eating meters.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
was defending their line well to an extent because 30 points was eventually leaked.
But that was
just
through
so exciting.
That was through good attack, though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because they're both defensively very good sides, but their attack, both of them were just on form. The back moves they were pulling off were fantastic. Tom Dearden, his try out of dummy,
Bro!
a gun, slightly maybe lucky the way that the Sharks were sort of positioned because he literally made two Sharks run into one another.
Yeah.
Which is a classic. But I didn't know Tom Dearden was so fast. He's one of my favorite players now because he's a good defender. That's why he's in there.
Does Tom Dearden listen to this podcast? Because I'm about to say that he looks like a guy who shouldn't be that good at rugby league.
But he is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's really, really annoying.
Yeah. Tom Dearden doesn't listen to this podcast.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, he's horrible, man.
He listens to the Noob
so-
Squad.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
He's the
man.
pros, though. He's the pros, though.
He's the man. We love him.
What did you reckon? What do you reckon?
Cowboys.
there, Jolio?
I said it at the end of last week's podcast as well. I said go the Cowboys, and the Cowboys. They
Joel,
performed.
did you say go the Cowboys?
I said
he predicted the whole thing.
Mate,
Holy.
I think I might have predicted the whole thing, but we'll go back and we can maybe clip it right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. They always put it on in the finals in 2018 or 17. Sorry, they had a crazy run to get to the grand final as well. Now they're only one win away from getting to the grand final against either the Raiders or the Eels, who, when we say it like that, it's kind of an easy draw as well.
Yeah. It's great. And so I would like to see the Cowboys in the finals now that the Storm and the Roosters are gone. They're probably my favourite now, I think. And I got to say, Val Holmes, he has come back from the NFL really nicely, you know what I mean? And for him to seal the deal on a triple overtime game against his former team, who he won a premiership with, with like a literally almost it was a 40-metre drop.
It was like
Yeah,
46 metres.
amazing.
Oh,
In
what?
the 93rd minute. When was the last time an NRL game went to the 90th minute? Do you know?
I have no idea, Joel. Do you have that written down?
No, I don't. I should have.
You can't just
you can't
willy-nilly
not answer it.
Yeah, you can't willy-nilly ask questions on a podcast because people will expect you to have the facts there. Well, you're rapidly Googling.
Is that kind of fast speed text?
No, that's all right. You speed text will stall for a bit. Hey, Storm.
Hey, Keezy.
Peter Hiku.
Oh, the Cuzzy from Gizzy, bro.
The man. He's the thing with him is when he played for the Warriors, I was always like, oh, damn it, Peter. Like, his defense wasn't amazing, but when he's on a good team, he can really shine.
It's frustrating though because he came to form with the Junior Warriors, got shipped off to Manly and was outstanding.
Yes.
Ended up at the Panthers.
Yes.
Was okay. He came to us, and I don't know what it is. They get to the Warriors and they go, this is back here with the Cuzzies. Now that he's left and gone to the Cowboys, didn't he eat like the most meters of the entire weekend?
Yeah, probably.
Like over 300 and it was ridiculous. And I remember who was interviewing him after the game, maybe Joey Johns or Jonathan Thurston. And also, if there's a man you should interview after the game, it's Peter Hiku.
He's funny, eh?
Well, he's funny, but he's also horrible because you had JT, the bros sitting behind him, they're giving him stick, and all he kept saying on repeat, it was like a scratch record, was him saying, I'm just really happy to get the win, but it's mean eating all those meters, but at the end of the day, just getting that win is all it means. Come on, bro, wrap him up, get him out.
So you know what that is? That's a dude who wants, because I've interviewed him a lot back when I was working for The Crowd Goes Wild, and he likes cracking jokes, and I think he finds it really hard to be serious, and so he wants to play along, but he wants to look professional, so he just does his media training on repeat.
Does Peter Hiku listen to this podcast?
Nah.
Because he's looking a bit chubby though.
Is he? Yeah.
I actually saw Peter Hiku in town last year as well. That's another one.
You see everyone in town.
That's another one. He was gucking it up. Sweatshop. He was.
Did you get a photo with him?
We did actually. We got a great photo with all. But it was like, he's going to the Cowboys. Like, yeah, good luck, man. These guys are probably going to come last next year.
And then boom, what happened?
Boom. Proved us all wrong. He also went to the Super League in between coming to the Warriors, which I think sort of stunted it. Yeah, I think he played for Warrington.
Buzzy,
I believe, but I think that might have stunted him a bit. But it's good to see him back.
It's good, and I think Peter Hiku's not a guy who will transform your team. Like if we were to sign him now, he wouldn't be playing anywhere near as good as he is. He is a guy that will take your 90% good team to 100%. You know what I mean? That try he scored, dummying, stepping inside, like it was so slick.
He's always been that guy though. I don't know why we're so surprised. When he was Manly and he was a little bit skinnier, he would, I mean that in the nicest way, he still managed to muscle over from like 10 meters out. And
Absolutely.
now that he's got more pounds, it's working for him.
And
I miss him.
In Manly though, but it's all about the rest of the back line being able to actually free him up with enough space to operate, which we never did. You know what I mean? So to see him doing that again, it's really good to see.
Like watching your ex-girlfriend do better in life.
I wouldn't know, bro. And how good was it? Even though they, it wasn't the winning try, but Jason Taumalolo being the one to score the equalising try, that was awesome. And he had just a massive game, just getting through so much work. Joel?
When you saw the Sharks guys after they conceded that try, they were just like, fuck.
Yeah.
How have we let this in? We literally need to make probably 3 more tackles, and they would have been in a qualifying final match.
Yeah.
But they were pretty gutted. But yeah, I also saw Taumalolo got Player of the Year for Cowboys as well, and
awesome.
Deservedly so. So yeah,
it's like having Mannering at the Warriors all the time. It's like,
it is.
I think it's a lot better than Mannering, to be honest.
And the reason he's so good is because him and Todd Payton were butting heads over his reduced minutes and stuff. He managed to get it under control, pull his head in, get on board with the coach, and now he's playing, back, not at his peak.
I don't think it's at his peak.
But he's still one of the best, back rowers in the game, still gets through a lot of meters, and I think that transformation is really impressive for
it's contributed to how the Cowboys are now.
Yeah. Hey, Joel, when was the last time that a game was won in the 93rd minute?
Hey, I'd love to hear from you at home if you're listening right now, because I can't find it. I can't find it anywhere. So, apparently the longest ever game went to 128 minutes back in a few years back. But yeah,
right.
If you're listening, flick us a message at ATC
NZ
on Instagram.
But
you want to hear another fun fact, though?
I like that he's covering his tracks with fun facts. This is good.
Another fun fact, the two sides that are in the guaranteed top 4 already, both their coaches used to coach the Warriors. Todd Payton,
Ivan and Todd. That makes me happy.
It's just watching your ex-girlfriends do so successful.
Storm. I feel so bad for you, man. I didn't realize it was that bad.
It's going through heartbreak.
All right, we'll move on now to what was an absolute bloodbath of a game. Sunday night, it was the Rabbitohs. A massive win over the Roosters, 30 points to 14.
Walker, Tass, dummies, scores. Souths are into week 2. The Roosters season is done. Souths have knocked the Roosters out. We'll see the trial again next week. Full time, South Sydney 30, Roosters 14.
Now, this game was, depending on who you ask, either really, really entertaining, which is how I found it, or really, really shit, which is how was it Buzz Rothfield on NRL 360 felt?
Oh, what
Who's
does he know?
Quite old, and of course he's going to say that. But I just love the fact that the Rabbitohs played the Roosters last week. Tension was building. They've already got a bit of beef with one another because of Latrell and Joey Manu. They're both old clubs with a long history of rivalries. They've got a stadium they're trying to share at the moment, and they're fighting over the crowds are booing Latrell. Then you add in guys like Victor Radley, Jared Wadia-Hargreaves, big, thick as pig shit, Tom Burgess, and like all these guys that cannot help but get massively fired up. And next minute you've got the most sin bins in history with 7.
All 7, you said before, Radley, JWH, Radley again, Thomas Burgess,
Tane
Milne, Tane Milne again.
He's terrible.
And then Tavita
Oh my
Totola.
gosh.
That's right. And Tane Milne, because he was actually on my fantasy team early in the season.
I had him too.
Yeah. And there's a few games you'd be like, hell yeah. Like, playing on the Rabbitohs before the trail was back, score a few tries and stuff. He's actually a shocker for giving away penalties and for high head tackling people. So much so, I reckon he'll sign with the Warriors one of these days.
He used to play for the Warriors.
Yeah.
Oh, is that where he learned
Yeah,
it?
Tane Milne, he came from the Warriors.
That's where he learned it.
And he never got game time with us. Well, no, I won't go there because that's a bit of an allegedly, which would get us in trouble. But he was,
Joel likes it allegedly.
Yeah, Joel was historic for allegedly, but he was not that good for the Warriors because of that penalty count that he'd always do, and he would drop the ball quite a lot, and there was no sign of progression.
To be fair, he's still very similar. Like
He's very raw, man.
I think Tana, he's obviously got the tools to be a really good player. He's big, he's fast, he's strong. He can fend people off, but his discipline's really bad.
Does he listen to this podcast?
Yeah.
Well, because the top 2 inches aren't there.
Yeah. No, it's all good. He's over in Sydney. Don't worry about it.
Yes,
I reckon this is one of the best games I've watched all season, to be honest. I think just every time they went to the crowd, there's so many bogans in the crowd pulling the finger at the camera. The Roosters fans, Di Hemwood was saying that how hot are the Roosters fans? They're all looking, just every single one of them, pretty much a hottie. And,
that's because they're all rich as.
I know, so much feeling in the game, all the
Except for in the fans' foreheads there where the Botox has been. No feeling there whatsoever.
What's Buzz Rothfield worried about? Like, there was so much biff in that game, I thought he would have been attracted to it. Wasn't he
hated
the
it.
quality?
He said if he wanted to watch that, he would have watched UFC. And if anything, that game made me appreciate UFC because I was loving the amount of biffo and just to see the same people over and over again do the same stupid shit because they can't control how aggressive they are. It's so entertaining.
Matt Lodge, one of your favourite players, Keezy, he was lucky to not get sent off as well on multiple occasions.
I love it. So it was 12v11 with 12 minutes to go. Cue Matt Lodge tip tackle, which would have been a send-off if they already hadn't had 7 yellow cards. So entertaining.
It was so weird as well, though. Like when the Roosters when the Rabbitohs had 11 players on, I think twice they scored with an overlap as well. And it's how did the Roosters play so shit?
Apparently, 5 of the tries, and when I say apparently, I mean definitely, 5 of the tries that were scored in that game from either side were scored while that team had a deficit of players.
Yeah.
So, and the Rabbitohs did it first. They scored a couple of tries in quick succession with 11 blokes. Alex Johnson, shout out to one of my favourite players. We talked about him before, Joel. He's just one of the ultimate wingers.
Yeah.
Perfect finisher. He's just an absolute legend. And Cody Walker, who a lot of people think is a massive grub, me included. He was in control that whole game. So many try assists. He is a grub. He winds me up, but God, he is good at playing football,
And Latrell Mitchell. What a player!
Oh man,
what a player!
He's a legend.
He just hates the Roosters so much, and he was fired up, ready to go.
And there's a few times I've mentioned it on the Mad Monday podcast. We've talked about him many a time, but Latrell Mitchell, I think, is having an under appreciated season from everyone. Like, there's a lot of people that are saying how amazing he is, but names have been thrown out for other people to have to dally in. But his influence to the Rabbitohs, I think, is more influential than Cleary is to the Panthers or Mitchell Moses is to the
What about
Eels.
Tom Turbo to the Manly Sea Eagles? Or was it on par?
Hey, just real quick, do you see that Daily Cherry Evans interview?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's certainly worth a watch. Like, they got him on Monday Night Rugby League or whatever it was. He had Joey Johns, he had Fittler, everyone just roasting him about, going in about that Manly Sea Eagles, and he let it all out. He told all
About the pride and
yeah,
stuff?
no, about the pride.
Yeah.
About him allegedly not staying with the team when they were in a bubble, about the beef between him, Tom, and Jake.
Is there beef there?
Well, that's what he was saying, and he spoke so articulately. He was like,
Yeah, he's awesome.
The media like to get on us, when we've been down. But I can tell you right now that there is no beef between us.
That's good to hear.
It was just like one of the most eloquent interviews that I've ever seen. And then he talked about how Des Hasler wanted to drop him as captain,
Right.
Whether Des Hasler's going to be around. He handled it with such grace. If you are listening and you haven't seen the interview, it's outstanding. It's sitting with the watch.
Well, that's actually good because I've interviewed him once before and I was like starstruck when I was doing it. They were here for the Nines and he gave just a fantastic interview. I asked him like 2 questions and he was hilarious. So I like Daly. Here's a quick question. How does someone get knocked out so badly they play the ball sideways and then come back from an HIA sweet as? Taukeiaho, he did that. And then he was back on the field playing again. How does that work? Joel? I mean, you're a man.
I don't know, man. I'm not normally like a sideways guy, but yeah, it was good. It was
good, you
buzzy.
reckon?
He got up and I was like, holy shit, then he comes back on it. But then, like, Tedesco didn't actually look too concussed. It was...
Wow, he was struggling to stand up, but I thought that might have been him trying to milk it a bit to get them to review the hit.
The strong Tongan genes, I think, of Taukeiaho as well.
Yeah, well, maybe. Maybe, but I mean, Joel, you're a man who's got a lot of experience with like clearly being wasted at work. Like, how do you do what Taukeiaho did there and fake it so that you can come back and no one even notices?
I don't know. I'm sure he was probably still pretty knocked out. They played shit, the Roosters, and I actually can't believe how bad they played, and they ruined my tipping for the week as well. So I'm still bloody cat.
Oh, Joel.
Sorry, man. Stop watching your ex-girlfriend.
And just quickly before we move on, Jared Waerea-Hargreaves, yes or no?
What's the context?
Like, yeah. Or nah. You don't like him?
Give me a couple of years ago, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I don't favour towards Grubbs, if I'm being completely honest. And he's turned into possibly one of the biggest in the league.
And he's a great leader, right? And he will lead, with his aggression and his power. But the problem is his discipline.
And that's what I was about to say, is he's got all the signs of a future Warriors signing within the next couple of years.
Exactly.
Just a guy who should not be playing with aggression issues. He's going to drop the ball, give us all penalties. He's got Warriors written all over him.
And Joel Harrison, let me guess, you're a massive fan?
No, it's funny because my dad and I were having the exact same chat while we were watching the game. He's like, how good is Jared Waerea-Hargreaves? Like, I love him. Like, how good
I love him too.
That's like an old school player. Like, he's so good. And I was like, oh, he's a grub. But I was thinking about it. I was like, no, just because he's Kiwi, I like him. I'm all JWH.
But the problem is his tactic is not going to contribute to winning footy because he can't be, aggressive in that without getting penalised. He's so bad at it.
Will he be playing for the Kiwis in the World Cup?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not when you've got
too many good props.
Joseph Tapine and James Fisher-Harris.
And then Moses Leota.
No, Asafa Solomona.
Yeah, man.
Jared Waerea-Hopples, don't want him in there.
That's a good one. So it'll be your job to go and tell Jared that he's not playing for the Kiwis, Joel, all right?
Sweet as, man. I'll make sure he's all good with that.
All right, now it is time to wrap up the podcast. Before we do, though, first, let's quickly look forward to this weekend's games. Now, we've got the Eels taking on the Raiders Friday night.
Eels.
13 plus, Storm?
No, it's going to be closer.
Closer.
But it's going to be a high-scoring affair from both teams.
Yep, I agree. I'm actually going to go Raiders on this one if Mitch Moses isn't back. But if he's back, I think the Eels can do it. What do you reckon, Joel?
I think this could be the stonker of the round, but there's only 2 options. But I'm going to say Eels. I was thinking Raiders, but I'm going to say Eels.
I can't see the Raiders taking apart the Eels forward pack.
But
they do have a pretty gun forward pack, but yeah. No.
The Raiders got a sick forward pack.
I don't see them outplaying the Eels.
Okay.
I don't see them outplaying the Eels.
Even without, if they don't have Moses.
No, the forward packs. I think the backlines might have a good little tussle, but for some reason I feel like this is a game that the Eels are going to get up for. They want to see themselves in the grand final. They want to give themselves a sniff because they feel like they've got advantage over the Panthers. And I think that's when it got. I think the Raiders may have pushed their luck a little bit.
You reckon? Yeah. Fair enough. The Raiders forward pack sucks. Josh Papali'i, Joe Tapine, Hudson Young's playing mean at the moment. I hate those guys. So I'm the only one going Raiders, once again, provided Mitch Moses is out. Now, the next game, which is Saturday night, 10 o'clock, it's going to be a great game, this one. The Sharks taking on the Rabbitohs. That's going to be high scoring. I cannot wait to see this one. I can see the Rabbitohs beating the Sharks here, purely based on the fact that they surprised me last final series and got through to the grand final. They switch it on. Latrell's looking awesome. Cody Walker's looking awesome. I reckon the Rabbitohs can get past them. What do you reckon?
Not guilty, Your Honour.
Yeah, what are you getting the ref's room number, mate?
I'm agreeing with you. I reckon Rabbitohs. If you had asked me last week, I would have said I think the Roosters are going to win. But now that the Rabbitohs took down the Roosters, yeah, I think that Rabbitohs, they could be the real deal. And look, they could even push Penrith after they beat the Sharks.
No.
Huge call.
We spoke about it earlier in the podcast. If Tane Milner's playing, I think he might be the Achilles heel that's going to be the reason why the Rabbitohs aren't going to win.
Well, actually, they're without Tom Burgess as well. He's been banned. For
So yeah, what's the go with getting? Because he got sent off twice, Tane Milne. So surely he was on report for one of them.
Yeah.
I think there must report for that second hit high.
There was also
the first one.
5 HIAs in the game as well. So I'm sure that Rabbitohs might be a little bit more depleted now. Thinking about it.
That game had more coat hangers than a coat store.
Oh, it's sick.
Thanks, fellas. Yeah,
what a
thank you.
sick
I've
analogy.
been workshopping that joke all afternoon. Look, that does it for the Mad Monday podcast. Thank you very much once again, Storme Hitaua and Blocker Harrison, for coming on today and filling the gaps there for Di Henwood and Ben Hurley. We'll be back again next week with another wrap of the NRL. Good on you, mate.
What time are you doing Chris Key off the back fence?
And Australia without rugby league is not Australia.